talking about Pilates for the aging population, which is statistically the largest group of people that are taking Pilates right now, and will continue to be more and more that way because people are living longer, and it's kind of our neighborhood too, and kind of the reputation we got around here. So I don't know if it's just here, but I think a lot of studios are gonna bump into, I don't know how to handle these older people that are having all these issues. Anyway, let's go through some things. I brought out a couple props, we'll probably need a few more. So, demographics, growing population by 2030, 1 in 5 people will be 65 years or older. Common goals are to have these clients be as independent as they can be, prevent falling, pain management, maintaining mobility. How many of you have had clients that have fallen? Yeah, yep. Myth busting, aging is inevitable decline. It is not true. Active aging is what we want to work towards. Understanding the aging body, the physiological changes that happen with age. We have muscle changes, so loss of strength and muscle mass is just, it's going to happen. It's a constant fight against that. Taking good vitamins and good nutrition will help with that, keeping the protein up. But training is super important. We can't do a lot of dietary recommendations, but we can certainly train to keep those muscles going. Along with that comes bones. They have decreased bone density, osteoporosis, which is a fracture risk. You don't know if they broke a bone and then fell, or fell and then broke a bone. And then we have joint issues, arthritis, stiffness, cartilage wear and tear. Balance and posture. So again, back to the falling, what came first, the falling or the osteoporosis? We don't know, but if we can improve their balance and their posture, then the fall risk is greatly reduced. So reduced proprioception is naturally what happens. You know, when we kids were running around balancing and playing and riding bikes, and as we get older, we just kind of stop doing those things. So balance goes by the wayside. They have increased kyphosis. And the kyphosis isn't always just in the upper back. People tend to think, oh, that's the only way that kyphosis can happen. I'm seeing a lot of people with kyphosis in the middle, and even sometimes a lot more rare, but kyphosis in the bottom as well, like their lumbar curve is just completely gone. So the training for kyphosis is very different depending on where that kyphosis happens, if it's a high, middle, or a low kyphosis. So you kind of want to look at it and have them do like a bending test, like where do you see the bump on them? Is it a high bump, or is it really middle or lower? So you can really find where the apex of that kyphosis is. It's an interesting thing. But that typically is happening pretty often, a different type of kyphosis. Then with cardiovascular, we'll have lower endurance and less tolerance to continued work, maybe more breaks. I want to talk big time about the red flags and contraindications. So on our intake form, which was modeled off of the old Sports Club LA intake form, has the areas here in this box. Okay, so if they do this online, it's not going to be quite the same, but we can figure something out. But the box that's on this paper version, if anything is checked yes in this box, that should be a huge red flag that you probably shouldn't even train them at that moment. Because, okay, well, let's talk about what questions are. Has your doctor ever diagnosed you with a heart condition? Do you feel pain in your chest? Have you had chest pain in the past month when you weren't working out? Do you lose your balance? Do you have a bone or joint problem? Has your doctor prescribed any medication for blood pressure or heart condition? This client checked yes. So if this person is taking heart or blood pressure medication, we already know that they have a problem. So you're like, okay, I'm gonna put them on the machine and hope for the best. You wanna make sure that they've been cleared for exercise. So if anything is a yes in here, this person shouldn't even have been allowed to train. Until we got a medical clearance, because it's just not worth it. You know, we've had 3 heart attacks in this studio.
Oh my God.
Three?
3. They didn't necessarily happen in the studio, because we got them out of here, but they were having, like somebody went home and said, I was having the shoulder pain and the arm pain while I was at the studio, and that progressed into a heart attack. Somebody actively was having one, we sent them to the hospital, and they were like, yes, you're in a heart attack, and somebody else was just feeling super unwell. I don't know what happened after that, but, yeah, right? Get them out as fast as you can. So if they're already a risk, you want to make sure that they're cleared.
And just a quick question.
Yeah.
Should we ask to see the clearance or ask them to get?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, so a big yellow area here on this first page, red flags and contraindications, would be hip replacements, osteoporosis. I'm not saying these are contraindicated, but these are red flags. Osteoporosis, cardiovascular concerns. You must take an intake form, paper or online, and you must read it to identify the risks. If there are risks, then a medical evaluation and a release must be provided to you. Oh, sorry, ladies, didn't know you were here. Must be provided, and then you'll file it. So every client is in the filing cabinet there alphabetically, and you could just attach it to their intake form, just staple it to it, so that we know that something is on file for that person, and that they're released to work out. And if they're like, well, I haven't been to the doctor in a year and a half, then okay, if you haven't been to the doctor in a year and a half, then how do you even know if you have high blood pressure or not, or diabetes, or anything that's kind of like percolating that they didn't know about? You have to go to the doctor and just get cleared. So them saying that they haven't been to the doctor in a year is definitely already a red flag. So yeah, get it, file it, and then proceed with caution. Activity. So case studies, identify safe and unsafe movements. That could be anything in the studio, but also at home. If we're gonna go backwards in time to that fall risk and balance and whatnot, then maybe you can ask them, like, what's going on at the house? Do you have throw rugs everywhere? Are you likely to trip on those things? Is there anything that you could fix in the house that could be a trip issue for you? Are you getting up late at night to go pee, and then, we had a client here that got up, he hasn't been here in a couple of years, but he would get up to pee and he fell twice, 2 different times, because it was dark and he couldn't see, and he was, got up in blood pressure and disoriented, half asleep, whatever, and hit his head like on the dresser, and another time just hit the deck. So getting up at night can be an issue for them because you're half asleep and it's dark. So see if you can have them clean up their home environment. But around here, it's just crazy because we have stuff everywhere. So being aware of their, you just had an elderly guy here now who has a caregiver and a walker. You have a client and a walker, I guess what you call it, a walker. Yeah. So if they need that, then it has to be sort of at the ready, and then nothing's on the floor. Like right now we have props everywhere, but they could trip and fall in anything at any time. All right, Pilates principles apply to your seniors. Breathing is a big one. I know we all talk about our ha breath and our contracting our core and doing all of that, but sometimes the breath now could be thought of in a different way, as more of like rib mobility, especially if there's a kyphosis situation. They're gonna be rounded either in the high back or in the mid back or even in the low back, and that you wanna, just like with scoliosis, move the breath to the opposite direction of wherever that curvature is. So if it's a kyphosis situation, you wanna train them actually to breathe more to the front, but believe it or not, to the sides. So breathing to the sides, you can put your hands on them, put a band around them, have them put their hands on themselves and have them breathe laterally. Even if they don't have kyphosis, getting rib mobility with breathing would be amazing. Do you guys want to talk more about the breathing? Because I just find it fascinating. If you have a kyphosis, because it's so common, right? You don't have to even be an elderly person to be kyphotic. Anybody could have a kyphosis percolating even in their 30s. But if you think about the rib cage, right, and if it becomes kyphotic, it kind of curves that way. this direction. So if you think about a normal torso, if you're looking at it from overhead, it's kind of like an egg shape, the torso and the ribs are kind of egg shaped. And if you have kyphosis, that egg shape starts to turn egg shape this way. So it actually flattens in on the sides. So breathing to the side restores the normal egg shape. What? Because I was just taught breathe in the front, away from the, it's not enough. That there has to be lateral breathing away from a kyphosis and some front. And if it's a high kyphosis, it's high. And if it's a lower kyphosis, you have them breathe more here. And you just breathe away from that, but don't forget the lateral. Visualize that egg that has gone from this to this. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I have a question.
Yeah.
With the breathing then, when you advance that into, if you start with the breath and then you're coursing the rib cage, are you thinking to really course it when you exhale more than when you inhale? Because when you inhale, you want to expand more, so when you exhale, you're going to contract more.
So you're asking like, should
So
they
you just
close it on the exhale?
So the exhale, yes, more on the exhale, but not necessarily trying to close on the inhale.
I wouldn't actually close on either one.
Okay.
Because I would think of it more like a funneling down to have a contraction
Yeah.
rather than closing in. Because if you're trying to close the rib cage, they're going to go right back into their kyphosis again.
So for kyphosis, don't apply that at all.
Breathe out the side, and on the exhale, it's actually more out the side. So if you have your hands on your side ribs, you take your inhale and you want to feel it go sideways.
Yeah.
On your exhale, if you went, it actually would close down again, and you would actually kind of flex again. Let's do it a different way. So if you're going to inhale out the side, now exhale, maintain it and go or shh or whatever to push more out the side and not collapse down and in.
Okay.
So the exhale is actually like more expansion.
Okay.
So
can you even like use your core once you get that expansion instead of
So
using like all the diaphragm? Could you like yoga but kind of too like you get that space and then kind of
yes, you could still do that. You could still keep those ribs expanded out, but try to contract your belly. I don't know, that's pretty fancy, depending on your client.
Well, it's just one thing at a time.
Yeah, it's one thing at a time.
I can't get anybody to feel their belly anyway.
So if it's an exercise that we're trying to focus on just moving the ribs and we're not trying to do core in that moment, then don't worry about doing that and closing it down. Just worry about your expansion. Hi, Irma? Yes. Probably need to go around that wire, sorry.
That's okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I ask a kyphosis question?
Yeah.
You tell me that it won't apply, but like there's kids with severe kyphosis, but they're
Yes.
still growing, right?
Yes.
So, what, is it different, like working with?
When it
them
happens in
for-
children, it's usually something called Sherman's disease, which is actually where, because all the bones are stacked and they're like blocks, right?
Yeah.
But in some children, unfortunately, those bones become wedge shaped. So they're legit shaped that way.
And so that's not gonna change.
So they're gonna, when they grow, the discs are like being squished the wrong direction. And the more wear and tear and pressure over time that's happening with this curve, the bone becomes even more wedge shaped. So it becomes more and more cooked in, okay? So doing everything you can, because you're not gonna change the shape of that bone, all you're gonna do is change tension over time. So if you can get less tension on that wedge vertebra, that's the best we're gonna get. Does that make sense? So it's actually and it can be for older people too, like if they have, regular block-shaped vertebra and they have osteopenia, osteoporosis, posture could start to cause those bones to change shape, or God forbid, a compression fracture. Like Emily actually had a compression fracture where the bones actually went conk. So now you have a wedge shape.
that makes sense.
So for the kids with like spinal extension exercises?
100%. Big time. Yeah, so the lateral breathing, spinal extension, and working the posterior chain would be good for anybody with kyphosis, for any type of kyphosis, right? to get the posterior chain stronger. And they're probably gonna have pretty bad balance because they're forward bodied, you know. So working on the balance would be awesome too. Yeah, I mean, we could go down the rabbit hole just with kyphosis, I think,
Right.
for sure. But with kids, it's definitely more built in. And if there's been a compression fracture or really bad osteoporosis, it could also be built in. But hopefully it's not, and we're just gonna fight against that happening as much as we can. Okay, so we talked about breathing like crazy. And then if we're talking about core engagement, that gets to be difficult because we're so used to doing the and compressing down. Depending on what you're working on, maybe you don't want that so much. But we do want core engagement for stability and incontinence and having them engage without bearing down. So I got a bunch of chairs for us to try. If we just want to try sitting and finding core engagement and kegling, and then have them just try posture changes without losing it, because people tend to just like collapse, grab the chair, and they're trying to push up or change a posture without actually using their torso. Like sometimes I see people doing like hundreds seated and doing those kinds of things, and then they go to get up and they just go splat, right? It's just gone. So trying to maintain that throughout. So I'm gonna get you guys as many chairs as you want. We can use boxes, we have the little stools.
I can share.
I mean, it's gonna be easy for you guys, because you know how to maintain your core, but just to feel what that would feel like in your body, right? Go for it, that's all you're doing. Yeah. So this is gonna take us to our next thing, like a few pages ahead, which is gonna be the sit to stand thing. Because a lot of clients, like that's a thing, just get up. So if you're just sitting there and you can teach them that core engagement, whether it's like, oh, I'm gonna palpate that TA, or you're gonna palpate, or whatever you're gonna do, just to feel some core engagement and feel some elongation. And then just try messing with your posture. If you can just hinge forward and maintain that and come back up. And then even fancier is to hinge back and maintain that. This could just be homework for them. Could you keep your core while you're changing your postural position? It's probably cake for you guys. But you could see how you could be like, oh yeah, I'm engaging my core. And the minute you lean forward, it becomes a collapse and not a hinge or not any kind of work at all. You guys feel how that was easy for you, but probably not for them. So that would take you to your sit to stand, but let's stick with this for one more minute. So keeping that core engagement, and now marching. And keeping that core engagement while you're marching. Now can you add a Kegel for bonus points? That's a lot to train and cue, but this would be really good homework. You could have them on the reformer, get creative, like they could be in that hinge and do the marching with a little bit of weight, or it could be forward, back,
So you wouldn't be
center,
curled though,
march.
right? Because then that's gonna automatically kind of.
They might be able to, I mean, yeah, you can keep core engagement on a curl for sure, but a hinge, a little harder because that's a real postural thing. But if it causes pain, obviously, go to the curl or take it up with the ball. You could totally do it with the ball, sure. But just teaching them, like your core has to be engaged when you change positions. It's a functional thing. So, because they're just like, oh, I'm doing my Pilates, but then the minute they get up and walk out of here, things go sideways. So we have a couple pictures here. This is just maintaining core engagement with the tilting and then maybe the marching. Yeah? All right. We know how to pillow and prop like crazy, but aligning and posture cues adapted for limited mobility, pillows and props. We have the wedge pillow, we have balls, we have pillows galore. There is another wedge pillow in the closet if you needed to double up. But yeah, if you're doing training somewhere else or at a home studio, just get a wedge pillow of some kind.
So I'm thinking Arthur right now
was
too.
thinking
So like we've been really working on, he's like almost full kyphosis, but now that I'm thinking about it too, it's much more like diaphragm.
So it's
Just
a
even
lower
when he
kyphosis.
gets here, he's still rounded, like even when we're doing rowing.
Yeah.
He still has that rounding, so one thing I'm noticing too, obviously we're tucking a lot. So I've been thinking, but he's also had problems like, what is it, T12?
Uh-huh.
And so I've been really cautious, because obviously, twisting still, stuff like that, not a lot, supposed to do a lot of back bends. But I want him to get some mobility in those hips and open up that lower back a little bit so we can start pulling up.
Yeah.
Could I even just do like a little rolled towel underneath the lumbar? It's like, or would that put too much pressure, having had an
You wanna
injury
put it
as
at the
well?
apex of the curve. If it's like a T12, if this where you're seeing the hinging,
Yeah,
then that's where you wanna put the pillowing. Sometimes, and it's hard to tell, somebody can be really kyphotic somewhere and really lordotic here.
yeah,
So you don't wanna put a pillow in their low back. Sometimes, usually with most kyphoses, you have to tuck
yeah, he's way
and then push the ribs forward. It's like, how can I do both? But you gotta try, because they're almost always too much lordosis
Okay.
with the kyphosis.
He is flat as all be here. He's
Okay.
fully tucked and rounded and walking on his toes and complaining about balance.
So come here for a second and just sit here for 2 seconds so the ladies can see. When you're cueing somebody and they're like, they're being bad, yeah, like this is where it's just hinging back into the kyphosis. If I have a pistol grip here, bow, chicka bow bow, I'm gonna be here and here, and I'm just gonna unravel you like so that I'm gonna make sure, I'm trying to get the more stacked shoulders over pelvis.
Can you do that again?
Yeah.
So I'm just pistol gripping,
Yeah.
rather than just like smashing them, it's just like a pistol grip on the collarbones and up and forward there. And then maybe now a little booty tuck.
Tuck.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And that's really good. What I have tried with some people, we have a reverse wedge situation. I'm gonna grab it and show it to you. Because it will actually put them in a tuck when they're sitting up. So you're gonna see these wedges where you're supposed to sit on in your office or in your car to make you arch more.
You're supposed to sit on those to make you arch more.
Yeah, so if you sit on that, that's gonna make her tilt more forward.
Yeah.
A lot, right? But if I reverse it that way, it's gonna make you tuck back, right?
Just gonna eat some.
But no! So now we want the pistol grip. But her pelvis is still technically tilted backwards, a little bit.
Interesting.
It
Okay.
doesn't have to be this wedge pillow, it could be just like,
Towel.
yeah, totally.
I'm
Something
so
like
curious.
Well, you're saying for exercise to use something like
If
that
they're sitting up, I would have them do a little pelvic tuck,
with it in this position,
and then
because it forces them to go into that curve.
it forces them to get their pelvis tilted back a little bit, and then you want a pistol grip. But the only time I would say don't do that is if they legit have their kyphosis in their low back, and these are sticking out.
Okay.
We don't want to tuck back. That's the only kind of kyphosis we want to tilt forward, but I've only seen 1 or 2 of those people ever.
Okay. So, and then if that was the case, then you'd flip it the wedge the other way, right?
Yeah.
Different.
But doesn't that feel like a substantial difference?
Yeah.
You guys should try it.
It doesn't look like it would be, but it's
So you're
very
sort of
much.
exaggerating the kyphosis by having them sit on this, and then you use that pistol grip to get them to correct that. Is that
I
why
guess
you're-
basically, yeah. I mean, you have to kind of think of it like little Legos or Jenga, because the pelvis would be its own Jenga, and then the low back, and then the mid back, and then the shoulders. So if I got her pelvis tilted back, yeah, cool. And then we have to fix these other Jenga blocks at the top. Because like she said, her client is like, not only that, but he's forward of himself.
Yeah.
Also, his neck is shearing back.
Yeah,
too.
lots of shear.
Of course. So just having him feel like, hello, buddy, this is where we stack the Jengas. Ting, 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 just to feel that.
Yeah, because I've been focusing so much too, like, and there's so much space in between his shoulder blades. So I've been like, okay, we're trying to like hold something in between, like just to try to get the chest open.
Yeah.
Hoping that that would then lift here, but I like that full, because he's not doing anything here, he's just going here.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating for him.
And if you want to get mobility in that, then
Yeah.
I bought this chair just for this exercise and it didn't work out because this chair is too low. But it's been around anyway, so
Okay.
straddle the chair.
Madonna.
Because this chair is too low, but I was hoping it was gonna be like here, but let's pretend. The other thing that sometimes works, I brought a foam roller around, or didn't you?
Yeah, right here.
Oh. Put your hands on the foam roller, that's a little bit higher, so there,
Okay, Jeannie style.
cool. Is that too far away? Alright, so we're gonna do the same pistol gripping thing here, right?
Should I
But
go?
then if, like for her client, because he's being so kyphotic here, and we're just going down, we're going all left turns, not at all what was on the handout anymore, but that's okay, sorry. So if we're gonna get him here, and then we wanna get mobility in here, I call it wobbling, so now you're just gonna push this forward and release it back to neutral only. Forward, neutral only, forward. Some of my clients call it boobs on a platter, I'm like, you call it what you want.
We're doing it.
Oh, I
But
love
it's
this.
not this, it's this,
Cause yeah,
right?
this doesn't move.
So it's, if getting mobility, not into booty part.
Okay.
So we lock this down, I have to put you back on the wedge, I will. And then try to get that mobility only where you want it.
Oh, it does feel really good. And then having
So
it
now
back-
she's moving, do you see her moving where we want her to move and not in her pelvis as much? You're still doing a little pelvis.
Yeah, I'm like,
In the
drop it down,
ribs.
pelvis, you're not part of this party.
If you have to get behind them, sit with them and lock that pelvis in, then you do it.
Boobs on
But that's a good mobility one.
Yeah,
Really
that actually felt really
yeah.
good. And I like it because I have been using the pelvis as an example, thinking that that would help get into that spot. But you don't need your pelvis for that.
Usually do not.
Okay.
Shocker. And then if you take that wobbly thing, this idea of that wobble, where that's happening from, not the pelvis, but like up here, and then you're like, all right, so go for a walk. How are you gonna walk? Or are you gonna boobs on a platter it? Is it gonna be here? So that same mobility should be how he's thinking about walking. It's a little bit like a chicken feeling.
Yeah, especially.
This is the way they wanna get some ability and move, because they'll try to walk like this. So you just maybe watch him walk in, walk out, and see where his mobility is or isn't.
Okay.
So that it becomes like, okay, you're gonna do that wobbling thing, now go for a walk and take it with you and do that in your life.
It's like a straight shot for your back.
It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can I try?
Can you try it?
For sure. If you guys wanna pistol grip each other, you can try that too.
Yeah, that felt really good.
It's so simple, and I was like, I love that. But
Makes
we
you
can,
sink. So this is what makes you sink back, and then you do this to help them
yes.
come up, okay.
Yes, so I just get these on Amazon, it's called a stress wedge.
Stress wedge.
It doesn't have to be that, like Paige said, it could just be like a towel in front of the sit bones that cause the pelvis to tilt back. Or just cue it so they're not, overly,
Have you ever
Marching
done
all
this with a client who doesn't get what you're doing?
oh, that works like magic.
By just doing a palpation here and just showing them?
Yep, and they just
Wow.
go there.
Okay.
Can they maintain it? That's their job.
Yeah.
So if we were doing that challenge again where they're like, okay, I'm gonna find my core, great, we're gonna pistol grip whatever we need to fix, how does it look? Can you maintain that as you go through those challenges, whether it's hinging or marching, can they maintain it? Could be homework, that's good exercise, that's hard work, actually, to just hold that.
Stress wedge is what you said? Stress.
That little guy, yeah, it's called a stress wedge. They don't mind what they charge for a piece of foam, but it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we have movement lab, modifications and props, mat work adaptations, you guys probably already know all of these. Supine alternatives if lying flat is uncomfortable. We can use the wedge pillows, chair or wall-based Pilates sequences to work the core, posture, breath. So having them sit up or having them lean against the wall or sit against the wall to do, any of the things we talked about, firing your core, pistol gripping, finding that posture, or just breathing, for God's sake. Sideline work, we know how to do all of that with all kinds of pillows and props. I think this is way beneath your guys' pay grade. Apparatus work, we can go lighter or heavier if we need stability. We know how to bypass joints and all that, right? I'm just gonna skip to the stuff that's like obviously more interesting. Foam rollers for balance drills. Okay, so anytime we're gonna do balance, we know that they have to be holding on. They just have to be holding on. It's the law. Holding on to the Cadillac, holding on to, I don't even trust the springboards, but holding on to a wall or something that's, okay. So we brought out 2 sticks, yep. So if it's a balance thing, I would have them hang on here with both hands
Okay,
holding on, not just a one-hand thing.
okay.
I mean, obviously the goal is gonna be to get on whatever you wanna get on and find your balance and let go, but if I'm just doing one,
Yeah.
I don't really think that's a thing.
Okay,
I sometimes have my clients start with both hands, and then I have them use 2 fingers on each hand and
Okay,
eventually 1 finger to
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah,
right?
So many of them, they get stubborn and they like wanna put their hand, I'm like, nip
yeah, and I
it.
was just gonna say, like, getting your hands out of your sides, that is not our goal, because you will never catch yourself fast enough. So I'm like, keep them right here. You don't have to be a hero, we're not trying to
right.
get crazy. When somebody's getting off and on something like this, like a Bosio or the wobble board, which is over there, I always put my foot, like if they're gonna step off, my foot's here to hold it.
Right.
Because this will tilty and they could slip, and that's where the slip and fall could happen. So if they're stepping on and off, I'm always bracing it. Can I borrow you? So as you're gonna step on that, so if you're gonna step on with the right side first,
So this foot first.
I'm stabilizing this side for you,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
okay? So that even as you go to get off, so step off the left foot
This-
first,
Okay.
so that I will never let you tilt. You know this thing says right on it, don't do this, right?
It's so crazy.
I always work the other side, the rounded
It says
side.
right on it says printed right on this thing.
Yeah.
Standing on platform is not recommended.
But it says, but Bosu I heard means both sides up. I thought that's what it stood for.
I'm sure enough people fell and they got in
Yeah.
trouble and they had to have that.
That's probably why.
Yeah.
But if we flip it over, that's fine too. And if it's gonna be a one-legged thing, like an injury thing, I'm still gonna have them hold on.
Mm.
Okay, so that's balance. All day long, right?
So as far as like movements, I mean, pretty basic, like with Arthur, I have him come up here and I know he's a tactile person, so I definitely have him hold on, close down the eyes, shut down the peripheral vision, all that. Do a little toes, heels,
Yeah.
without doing like this sort of stuff, but just like
Yeah,
getting that
just shifting weight.
mobility. And then working on like doing a little lift, sometimes a little kick. Is there anything like special that you could do?
I would just make sure that this is all happening
Okay.
while we're here, so that it becomes, that sitting down thing becomes more of like your functional thing. So you're gonna do the little booty tuck under and the pistol grip so that it looks good from the side,
You're all
so you can see, yeah. So
Okay.
that now you wanna maintain that, like we did it sitting, which would be super basic, right? If I'm sitting, feeling the core, feeling that posture and messing with the postures, this is definitely like 3 levels up from
Mm.
the sitting down stuff.
Mm.
Right,
But yeah, 100%.
okay.
Progression.
Yeah.
You
So
were talking
let's-
about the foam roller. Did you talk about the foam roller?
So if we're not using a boson, we're just using a foam roller, which is great, but it's only, there's only one dimension, so we're only balancing this way. So I would like start them with this, graduate to that, because this guy's definitely, especially if it's upside down, that's crazy hard for them. But if it's just the foam roller, yeah, for sure. But even when they're doing this,
Why use the half foam roller for
you could use the half, but when they're doing that, I'll put my feet here, I'm corralling it. My feet are on either side of it, I'm not holding it for them, but some people do wacky stuff and they're like, they do something wacky like that, or even worse if they go off the front. So I'm just like bumper carring right here, my feet are like this, or I'm just like,
In a cage.
So I just cage it, and then I can see their profile right here anyway, I can see if they're like lining up and doing anything, or if they're looking down. So it's kind of good to be here anyways. But yeah, this is definitely like only one dimension
Mm.
as opposed to the Bozu wobble,
Right.
which is gonna be a lot harder.
I wouldn't trust our kid on that whole one.
No.
We did a half one.
Yeah, do the
I
half.
wouldn't trust him on that one.
Half is good for sure. All right, so let's skip, we're doing good on time. But, yeah, okay, so we're jumping to number 5, functional Pilates for daily life, so sit to stand. All right, so we've talked about this, we had the wedge under us, we were finding the core, doing the postural changes, and that's gonna graduate to getting up. You can't have your feet in front of you, it's not gonna work. So they gotta be able to bring their feet under them. For the postural challenges, leave the feet in front of them, let them use their feet. But when now they're gonna go to get up, you gotta bring your feet under the chair, or at least to the chair, do all the same things, and then get up.
Mm.
You might have the clients that they can't even do that without their hands. It's not gonna happen. Fine. So it's 2 hands.
I have to do this a lot to try to keep them from doing this, like.
Yep.
Arthur loves ice cream, so I'm like, there's ice cream on the top shelf, and you think you can get it, but you can't, so you really gotta reach out for it.
Give them a stick.
Get that ice cream.
That's
I
great.
like the stick.
That's smart.
So you're gonna do all your postural things, bring your feet in. I'm gonna lean forward, but I'm not gonna go head first, right? And use the stick to help them get up, so that you're slowly taking those props away.
Okay.
But for somebody who's deteriorating, it might not be that I'm taking them away, I'm just holding steady and not trying to like gain anything. But if they can only do a sit to stand with the little handheld, that's cool.
And it's okay that they lean forward.
They have to, but you're talking about people who are doing like,
Yeah, and then they slide their butt up, and then they bring.
I was hope.
Yeah.
And that's actually a whole bunch harder.
Yeah.
So it's just transferring weight.
How do you handle clients that are like, I'm not old, stop helping me?
Well, if they don't help me,
Stop
I'll say
helping me.
don't help me.
That's good, the less help you give them, the better anyways, I guess.
But like if they need it though, but like, you know what I mean, like if you're.
Maybe just
you're
a
helping
announcement.
them and they're like, no, stop, I can do it, and you're like,
Oh, then give them a prop.
I see it, I see the
And you're like,
vision of.
here you go,
Is that-
I'm not helping you, here you go. Give them their own prop. Put it, if it's a chair or a stick or a stool or something next to them, then fine.
Oh yeah, like when you're trying to hold their heels because their tabletop's like this,
Yeah.
and you're like, no, and they're like, Emily, don't hold my heels. And I'm like, well then get your heels up.
Then put a box.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not helping you, there's a prop there.
Perfect.
That's ego, it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Where were we?
16.
Sit to stand. So sit to stand is what we're gonna do. So I'm like, you're gonna lock the wheelchair, number 1,
Yeah.
right? And then we're gonna work on the sit to stand. If you're gonna use the wheelchair or her walker, just make sure that sucker's locked, because it spins around, right?
Yeah, well,
she can
yeah,
sit
moves,
on it.
spins, yeah.
So she
Oh,
can,
yeah,
she
they
can
don't do
walk
the
in
work
it,
on it.
but she can also turn around and sit on it, right? Isn't it like a
The one,
two-way?
not usually, the one she had on Saturday, she did it, most
Oh,
of the
she
time
has like that
sitting, it's
V-shaped
not-
one, it has no
Yeah.
bench on it,
Yeah.
but it has locks on it, right?
Yes, I lock it all
So
the
if
time.
if she had that in front of her, she could lock it and she could use that for her sit to stand, right?
That's what we usually do, and then I'm usually standing there with my feet.
Holding the
Yeah,
thing.
because even though it's locked, it can really.
Slide.
Yeah, so I've got my
Totally.
feet and I'm holding onto it as well.
So sit to stand it's highly underrated, because sit to stand is a functional
Every day.
every day, 100%. And then you would maybe graduate to step up, step down, for climbing stairs. It's hard in here because our boxes are just too dang big. Yeah, I wish we had like those old steps from like,
Reeboks,
that's cool.
Yeah,
because then he gets used to putting his foot up and putting his foot back down.
But for step ups, let's just pretend this isn't a gigantic box. Because people climb the stairs and they're using their toes.
Right.
And this is a lot of quad demand and bad on the knees. And they wonder why climbing the stairs is so hard. Because they're not driving through their heel, through their butt. So just having them teach step ups that it's a heel driver, you should feel it here and not a quad. Like that's just hard for me, just to eat, that's just hard. So teaching step ups that drive through the heel be a better way to have them learn that, but yeah, we should definitely get a step. Balance challenges, so we said that already, tandem stance and single leg, so tandem stance is obviously both feet. And then adding reaching patterns. Grip strength.
Adding a read, what does that mean?
Reaching patterns, so if they're balancing, that you're gonna start adding, just like reaching
Okay, got it.
things while they're balancing. Grip strength, shoulder mobility for carrying and reaching. Cueing, clearer, slower, simpler, louder, we all know this. What? Class management, safety, setup, pacing, scheduling, reminders, non-technology. A lot of them are like, look, I'm not techie, I'm not gonna fill out your intake form, I'm not getting the reminders, okay. That's how it is. I'll have my grandchildren do it for me, fine. Motivation and rapport, creating a supportive environment, inclusivity, mixing ability levels in group classes. But the rest of the handout, y'all can just go over, just sample class flow, gentle chair and mat combination, and reformer flow. And then the rest is just if we're gonna start to really, if we wanted to market ourselves as an active aging, strong for life, silver, senior, that's who we want to attract, but we just sort of are anyways.
Yeah, check.
We just sort of are. And then the quick little reference of what to be very careful of are avoiding loaded spinal flexion, like deep roll-ups, deep steep curves, if there is an osteoporosis or discs, it should
Where
be
is that?
in there too. Where it says appendices,
Oh,
A, quick reference.
Okay.
Limit any extreme range of motion with joint replacements, and that could be hip or knee or shoulder, you name it. Focus on function over the aesthetic goal. Some of them are still really hung up on this belly, gotta get rid of my belly, but it can't necessarily be about that anymore. Let's move past that and work on more of your functional living, and if you pull up really tall, that belly's gonna look better anyway. So that was fun, y'all, and then what can we work on next time? What would be a good topic for us to dive into next time?
Knees,
Some knees?
but I think even just like step ups and stuff like that too, where you're not on your toes and hitting all that extra
It'll make an
pressure.
enormous difference. Thank you for joining us for this short and informative workshop. We hope to see you at our next adventure.